Okay, welcome back. In last lecture, we have seen what is the project selection. That is, project selection starts when the project identification ends. Now, let we have seen the definition of project selection. We will see what is the project selection. Project selection is a process to access each point idea and select the project with the highest priority. Okay, projects are still just suggestions at this stage. Okay, they are not actually working. We are not doing anything working over here. Actual work will not start at this end. Actual work will start at the planning stage and initiation stage. At the planning also, we are only making the planning. When the project initiation start, their actual work starts. Here it is only an idea at the stage of project selection. Okay, so the selection is often made based on only brief description of the project. At some projects that will only be ideas, one may need to write a brief description of each project before conducting the selection process. Okay, whenever we are conducting a selection process, before that we should have a clear idea in your mind, and we should be able to have a brief description about that particular project. Then and then only one will be able to select a proper project which will be having proper benefits or proper benefits in terms of money, in terms of other terms also. Okay, selection of a project that should be based on the benefits we can consider as a measure of positive outcome of the project. What is positive outcome? In terms of money, that is positive outcome. These are often described as the reasons why you are undertaking the project. The types of benefits that we can consider as economic benefits, social and cultural benefits also, and fulfilling commitments that are made as a part of national or regional or international plans and agreements. All these benefits we have to consider while selecting a project. Okay, it should be financially beneficial, or it should be social and culturally beneficial, or it should be having fulfilling all the commitments that we have done to different levels. Okay. Next criteria we can consider as a feasibility. We have seen in the last lecture what is the meaning of feasibility study. Here, a measure of the likelihood of the project being a successful, that is achieving its objective, is called as a feasibility. Projects that vary greatly in complexity and risk, means different projects have different complexity levels and different risk regarding the completion of the project. So by considering all these feasibility points when selecting a project, it means that easiest projects with the greatest benefits, whatever the project that will be having all the resources, technical resources, manpower and all other resources will be easily available, and it should give a great benefit. All these things we have to consider, and we have to give priority to these things, and then only we should pick up or select that particular project. That is the selection of a project. Now let us discuss what is the need of project selection. Means, why do we need to select a project? Let us consider, if any organization, consider your organization that has limited experience in conducting eradications, then it is recommended to concentrate on a small number of projects. If you are not having the experiences of conducting the different projects, then the people will recommend to concentrate on the small number of projects, ideally one project at a time. Means, if you are not having an experience of undergoing number of project at a time, that's why you can consider conducting a small project or conducting any one project at a time. Then and then only your organization will be having a good successful project, until the people in your organization have developed the skill and experiences. When once the people will develop the skill and experience regarding to the completion of the project, undergoing the project, then the people can undergo number of projects simultaneously. But if you're not having an experience, then you have to undergo one project at a time. So you have to grow the capacity and build up to undertaking the multiple projects at any one time. Do the easy project first, work towards the most difficult and rewarding projects. Use easy projects to help answer questions, solve issues. For the more difficult projects, use the best opportunity for the learning process. Here you may have to mix a straightforward and difficult eradication. Here at this stage, you may have mixed straightforward and difficult projects. And do you know that where to start? The project selection stage will assist you by providing the process to compare the importance of the different project and select the most suitable project to undertake. Means by mixing different projects, if you are undergoing different projects, one is very difficult, one is little bit simple, and some different levels of the different project. So by selecting the project, you will get an idea about comparing the importance of different project and selecting the most suitable project that you can complete within the given time limit and within the given resources. So by following the project selection stage, you will follow a step by step objective method for prioritizing the projects. This can be used to explain the stakeholders the reasoning behind why you selected a project that particular project. Means the stakeholder will ask you, I have given you two projects, why you are undergoing only one project at a time? The person want the both project at the same date. You can explain to the stakeholders that whatever the resources, whatever the difficulties regarding to that project, I can complete this project within this time limit, and second project I will undergo after that, so that I will be able to give you both the projects within the given deadline. That's why project selection is a very important point. So we can conclude here that the benefits of completing the project selection are that the transparent and documented records of why a particular project was selected. We should have a brief idea and a documented record for the selection of that particular project. And second is that a priority order for projects that takes into account their importance and how achievable the project is. If you have given a priority right, the priority of that particular project, in that we will consider the importance of the first project. We can show the stakeholders that this is the most important project, I will give you within this time limit, and then I will undergo the second project. That's why these are the benefits of completing the project selection. Now let us see who should be involved in project selection process. It is an important process. There should be involvement of agency management, stakeholders, and project manager also. How agency management should be involved in selection of a project? First, set selection criteria to ensure that selection process that aligns with agency strategies. Then, selection process are often runs as a management initiative before the implementing project manager is assigned. Means particular agency management should decide what is actually the priority of the project, which project is having more priority than another. By that selecting or picking that particular project, the agency management should be involved for the purpose of picking that project or selecting that project. Next, the stakeholders are one of the most important points or most important person who should be involved in the particular selection of a project. Here we will see the stakeholders, they are participations at the start of the project that create a strong community ownership and support and increases the chances of successful outcome. Means here whoever the stakeholder is, that he is having clear idea about the project in his mind. Okay, after the selection of project, for the purpose of selection of project, that stakeholder will understand what is actually needed for that selection of a project, or which project is actually more beneficial for that particular person. That's why stakeholders also must be informed of the outcome of the project selection stage. Next person who should be involved in that is project manager. Involving the project manager in a project selection process, that will help to build ownership in the project and support a successful project in the long run. Means project manager is a person who will undergo the particular project. He will undergo all the processing of the project, from planning, initiation, execution, all these process will be undergone under a project manager. That's why the particular person, project manager, should also be involved in selection of a project, so that he will be having a brief idea about the project, that which project is more important, which is having the priority, which is having the different resources, they can be readily available. All these things should be considered in the process of selection. That's why project manager also should be involved in the project selection. Now, let us see the project identification and selection that could be from different sources. What are the different sources from where we can do the selection and identification? In last point, we have seen who are mainly involved in the particular project selection. That is the institute management of that particular institute. After that, we have seen the stakeholder, and after that, the project manager. All these three main important persons who are involved in the project selection. But some of the more sources we can have for the purpose of project selection, they are progressive farmers, entrepreneurs, technical expert, local leaders, bankers, mass media, and national policies. Why? Because for the purpose of different sources, the particular organization will be dependent on the these all the things, all these things or all these persons. Means for the financially, the people will dependent on the stakeholder, all the or the banks, they will provide the finance to them. After that, technical experts who will be working under that particular project, they should also be considered for the purpose of identification and selection of a project. Progressive farmers also should be taken into consideration, because different sources for the project that we will acquire from the project, progressive farmers, that's why we have to take their views about the selection of a project also. Entrepreneurs, then local leaders, mass media, and national policies, all these are important components, are important persons who will be involved or who can be considered for the involvement in the selection and identification of the project. Let's move towards the next point, that is project planning. Let us see what is actually the project planning, where we are starting the project works. Means not exactly the project work, that will start at initial stage, but in the project planning we are forming an outline for the project. We are defining different steps for a project, we are defining different steps and different finances and different resources for the project. Everything, each and everything, different flow charts, different steps, deadlines, everything will be considered in the planning phase. It is nothing but a step by step phase for the purpose of execution of a project. Whatever the steps we are doing in this planning, we are deciding in this planning, if we follow each and everything as per the guidelines, as per the planning, then and then only the project will be successful. Means for the purpose of planning of a project, we have to consider everything regarding the project. Okay, now let us see what is project planning. The project planning that involves a series of steps that determine how to achieve a particular community or organizational goals or set of related goals. Means particular community or organizational goals means whatever the output of a project that is considered, whatever the idea of a project that was considered, how to achieve that idea, how to achieve the output of that particular project, that is considered in this particular planning. This goal that can be identified in a community plan or a strategic plan. Okay, the project plans that can also be based on the community goals or actions strategies developed through community meetings and gatherings, tribal councils or board meetings or other planning processes. That is nothing but the project planning. Identifies specific community, means project planning that particular identifies the specific community problems that stand in a way of meeting community goals. Here in the process of planning, we will find out all the risks that will come into forming a project or making a project feasible, taking the output of the project. For that purpose, all these things will be considered here. Means it will identify the problems of a community, problems of an organization, and how to overcome that problem, that will also be considered here in project planning. Project planning that creates a work plan for addressing problems and attaining the goals. Project planning describes measurable beneficial impacts to the community that results from the project's implementation. Project planning determines the level of resources or funding necessary to implement the project. These are all the things related to project. What is actually the meaning of project? From all this discussion we can understand. It means that how we can achieve a proper project, how we can achieve the goals of different community, how we can create the plan for a particular project is done in this project planning. It will determine the level of resources or funding necessary. Means in the planning we will take into consideration all the necessary resources that will be provided to the particular organization, that will be considered in the project planning. In short, definition of a project planning, we can say that a project plan is a series of formal documents that defines the execution and control stages of a project. The plan that includes considerations for risk management, resource management, and communications also, that while also addressing the scope, cost, and schedule baseline. Project planning is nothing but a series of formal documents that defines the execution and control stages of a project. Means it is the document where we'll find everything regarding to the project, how to undergo different process, how to form how to complete different particular step in a deadline, how to use different resources, from where to use different resources and different budgets for the project. That everything is under the project plan. The project plan, that will be also called as a project management plan. Okay, we can say that project plan will answer the who, what, where, why, how and when of the project. Okay, all these things will be in the project planning. Means who, what, where, why, how, when, all these things regarding to that particular project will be answered in project planning. The purpose of project plan is to guide the execution and control project phases. Okay, we can say that the project planning consists of project charter, statement of work, work breakdown structure, after that project plan templates also. All these things will be considered under a project plan. Now let's find out what is the need of project planning. The need of project planning is to think ahead and prepare for the future, to clarify goals and develop a vision, to identify issues that will need to be addressed, chosen between the options. All these things are needed for a project planning. Means why the project planning is needed. All these things will answer why a project planning is needed, to think ahead and prepare for the future. That is also an important aspect regarding to the project planning. To clarify goals and develop a vision, means at the initial stage of a project, before starting actual project, we should have a particular vision regarding the project, and we should be clarified about the goals of the project, so that we will move forward to that particular goal. It will to identify the issues that will need to be addressed, chosen between the options. In the planning phase, we should be having able to understand different options and which options to be picked, that is necessary to understand in a project planning. To consider whether a project is possible or not, project planning is needed to make the best use of resources. Also, different resources that are present at different points, to use that different resources, how to make use of that different resources is a part of project planning. Project planning is needed to motivate the staff and the community for the purpose of achieving the goals in a particular project, to assign the resources and responsibilities also to different peoples under the project, and to achieve the best result for that particular project, we need the project planning. Means we have a line, if planning is good, 100% result will be achieved, or a successful result will be, or a success will be achieved. That's why planning is very 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 important phase, which will give an outline idea about the project, so that we will understand how to undergo that particular project and how to achieve different goals of a project.